Alright, what we're gonna do is go back. Way back. Well, kinda. We'll start with Buxom and Maud. Together they had 9 children. 6 girls followed by 3 boys. They named their youngest daughter Maggie. She married Fred. They had 2 sons and 1 daughter. I am the oldest of them. I'm Kendra.
The middle boy, they named Herbert. Well, his name is Aubrey, but we'll get into that later. He married Deborah, and they had 3 girls. I am the oldest of them. I'm Tawana.
The third oldest was a girl they named Sadie. She married a man named Roosevelt, and they would have 3 kids together, the oldest of which was Darryl. He met and married Antoinette, and they too would have 3 kids together. And with their oldest, they gave Buxom and Maud their very first great-grandchild. That was me, Martine.
The oldest of them all, and bossy second mama to many, was a girl named Blossom. She married Jean, and the 2 of them had 7 children together. Wow. The tallest of them was Jerome. He married Juanita and had 2 sons. The oldest of them was me, Junie. So, y'all catch all that? Anyway.
Hey, cousin!
Hola and bienvenidos. Aquí tenemos nuestros primitos, Yenele and Randall. Yo, what's going on, y'all? We are back with another episode of Hey Cousin, and we are welcoming on 2 very special guest cousins, 2 of 3, the whites from up north that I grew up with. Like, these kids are like my siblings, like none other than Jenny Lean and Randall White. Well, Jenny Lean has a different last name now.
Yeah, I'm married now.
Yes. Oh Lord. Good God. Like, I'm talking about when I say these kids are like these are my siblings. Like, they are my
Junie was just a traveling brother.
That's it. But we are so pleased to have you guys on today. We know we're missing a brother, Charlito, so we love you, Charlie, too, wherever you are at right now. We hope you get to listen to this and, hear your cousins clown for a little bit. But today we're going to start off our episode with a letter from Martine, but it all centers around multiculturalism and how it relates to Geechee heritage and the heritage that some of the cousins bring into the family from their other side as well. So, Martine, we're gonna let you read the letter, and then when we jump a little further in, we're gonna let Randall and Jeneline kind of give a little background, and we'll take it from there. Actually, no, we'll start there first. So, Jeneline and Randall, if you guys could share with us the other portion of your culture and heritage, and just introduce yourselves.
Okay.
You want to go ahead first? All right. So along with us being, half Dominican essentially, with our family, my dad, Uncle Gary, to everybody else, he moved up north, so we didn't really have too much family. And then the family that we did have was on my mom's side. So we had our Tia Selena, that was my mom's sister, and a few cousins here and there, but we only had Tia Selena's house. So growing up, unless we were actually down there at grandma's house, we were basically strictly almost a Spanish household. And it was pretty funny that every time I would have to, the summers I stayed in grandma's house, I'd have to readjust. Well, this is what I know we're used to. This is what I can get away with here at grandma's house. This is how things go here, opposed to this is how it goes at my aunt's house or back home. My dad would try to bring, keep the Geechee culture up a little bit, but whenever our family came over, when you guys visited, or TJ, before TJ and Uncle Keith moved, it was a whole different culture. And every time we visited Uncle Anthony, or every time we came down to grandma's house, I could see my dad like go home and be back in touch with his roots, because he always acted different opposed to just being up there by himself. So it's noticeable, but it was interesting to say the least.
Yeah.
that was different for me though. It's the kind of the reverse side. So yeah, we had my aunt, my tia Selena, which is my mom's sister, and then we had the Lela who lived in New York. And we would go visit them in New York. But growing up, it was a little bit of mix. So my mom did instill her Spanish roots to us, but my dad also instilled his Southern roots to us too. So I grew up with kind of both. And then as my mom became more Americanized, I guess, she kind of lost touch with her Dominican roots. She's getting them back slowly now. I always asked her, why doesn't she cook as much Dominican food like that? Like she started cooking more my dad's culture's food, and like it implicated a few Dominican dishes in there, but it was more American food or Southern food as well.
That's beautiful, y'all. Like I'm so excited to hear even more about that. And we mentioned in kind of like the pre-meeting that these are conversations that we haven't even really had. And like you guys said, growing up, we were always very close because we were so close in proximity. Like we was just, you know, a car ride away from one another. So we'd always be within each other's presence. So really excited about this conversation. As we all know from our season 2 experience, Martine's mom is Jamaican. And Martine, if you want to, you know, give a little bit of that and then go into reading the letter, that would be awesome.
Yeah, so my mom is Jamaican. Of course, my dad is from the South. I really have to say that my mother did a great job with incorporating the both. She did learn how to cook Southern meals, but we ate rice and peas and oxtail and curry goat and yam and banana and dumplings. So my father got used to eating Jamaican cuisines, and he loved it. And he would request the Jamaican cuisine because he grew up on the Southern. So he really didn't want that, you know, here and there, you ask for your mac and cheese and stuff like that. But it really was the opposite. She made sure that we were well balanced and we knew. And I have to say, she also was inclusive with other cultures, because if you ask one of my little sisters, her favorite meals are Spanish. She liked rice and beans. She likes pernil, she likes all of these things. So we really, she did a good job with making sure we were diverse and we were privy to a lot of other cultures and not just our own. Her mom, on the other hand, she was just strictly Jamaican. She's not making anything besides Jamaican food. That's it. You're not getting anything other than sorrel. You want juice? Okay, sorrel. We don't do fruit punch. We don't do anything like that. So she really, I mean, I love the balance. Like I said in previous episodes, I just love the mix. I love the fact that everybody was so inclusive. Everybody was so accepting. And I'm going to get into the letter because this letter definitely says something else. So the letter is, "Hey cousins, I've been listening to your podcast for a while now and have been dying to ask this question due to it not being one of your previous topics. I'm a child who has been raised in a multicultural family dynamic. My mom is from Honduras and my father from the South. Based on outward appearance, you can't tell, but when we start to speak Spanish and cook certain traditional cultural-based foods, you start to see the difference. I love both sides of my family and have learned to embrace both the similarities and the differences. My questions to you are, how do I feel confident in who I am when I have certain relatives from my father's side telling me to, quote, stop speaking that Spanish shit around us, or criticizing the foods that my mom make when we have family gatherings? Please help me if you can. I love my family, but I feel like they have been very disrespectful to my culture, and I want to know how to stay firm on my own beliefs while also educating them in the most positive way." So I'm gonna give it to the guest. I'm gonna give it to the guest only because I have to say I'm fortunate enough to not have had that experience. I want to say our family has been very open to my mom, and actually they will call and want her to cook every doggone time. Can you make this? Can you bring this? So I've never experienced a negative aspect of, you know, of her being West Indian. So I don't know about Randall and y'all, so I'll give it to y'all.
No, I think it's the exact opposite for us too. We every time we went down there, whether it was us and my mom, like I've always felt embraced. It was never any kind of negative vibes. Like they always want my mother to help cooking. They loved her cooking as well. They always wanted her to cook her dishes because they didn't get them too often. And my mom was always willing to help grandma or anybody do anything. I've always felt the love. So definitely, definitely very shocking to hear that. As far as what I would do, I think I would, just embrace your Hispanic side. I mean, you have two sides of your family, and they're going to intermingle, and they should just accept that we're family, although we're different. Like, although every time I visited South Carolina, I was always the lightest kid on the island, in the house, and everybody knew who I was. Why? Because we don't have too many light-skinned cousins that are this light, and it's like, oh, Gary's kids is here, so. And it's something that I could have took negatively or felt subconscious about, but I never had to stress about, trying to fit in. Because the moment I landed on the island, the moment we got on grandma's property, it was like, I'm home. I'm with family and everything's copacetic. Everything's great. So I would just keep embracing your Hispanic side and just, tell your family, like, yo, this is who we are. We're family. And if you don't understand, maybe you don't understand and you feel offended, maybe I can tell you what's going on. I'm pretty sure nobody's talking shit about you. There's no animosity on our end, so I don't think you have to bring it on your end.
Mm-hmm. So I'm the oldest out of all three of us, so I know a little bit more that was going on in in our family. And it was the Hispanic side of the family that didn't they accepted my dad and everything, but they definitely talked about him behind his back on my Spanish side. So my mom's side, they're very colonized, we'll put it that way. Some members are very colonized mindset, and they saw my dad as just a negrito. So another black man. And they even questioned my brothers. They were saying like, oh, that's not my dad's kids because they were so light. And my parents never expressed any of that negativity around us growing up. But when we got older, my mom did explain to me some scenarios that happened growing up and how my grandma would just talk about my dad and kind of just saw my dad as the money guy, basically. Like, all right, he's the one that we could depend on if we ever need anything. And my dad is just so kind-hearted with the family, and he is gonna help them. But they didn't accept it in the beginning. I guess they accepted him later on. And then now that my parents are divorced, they look at my dad like, all right, this is Charlie. So they
realized who he was.
Huh?
I said they realized who he was after the fact.
Wow. Yeah, it's after the fact. That it took a divorce for that to happen, though. That's sad.
I mean, even just, I know that I don't have a lot to contribute to this conversation, being that both my parents are American Black as far back as we can trace. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course, there's things all in there. Everybody takes the genealogical research and all that stuff. But what I can say is that an idea that I would suggest to the listener would potentially be like, all right, so if you're coming into one particular side of your family and they are saying something about the other side of your family, it would be a really great idea to try to get some buy-in from the parent that more closely reflects that side of the family. So if you have an African American parent, then you get with, that parent and be like, hey, like, we need to band together and try to get them to be a little bit more accepting of the other side, because not only is this the other side of me, this is also your spouse or, your former spouse or somebody that you once had, a lot of love for and you chose to have children with. So I need your help to get your family in line so that, you know, we can all contribute a more positive atmosphere to this situation. Because one of the biggest things that I think will be helpful in moving forward with your family in general will be boundaries. You know, like, set the boundary, set the tone, like, hey, this is a very important part of my culture, and I am interested in learning about it, and I'm interested in continuing on with all that I've been taught by my loved one, and I would appreciate it if you just, you don't even have to love it, you don't have to like it, but at least respect it. And I think if we start the basis at respect, then everything can be a little better, run a little more smoothly.
Oh, hey y'all. Hey.
Hey.
First thing I want to say is I think you guys kind of like you hit the nail on the head. We don't have to keep beating that horse we don't have to keep talking about how you should move forward. We're about to be in 2022. And at the end of the day, we have to start understanding that we live in a very global, diverse world. So we're going to intersect with a lot of different type of people from different cultures, from different ethnicities. And at the end of the day, if you're still on that, I mean, because that's like a form of racism. So if you're still on that, oh, don't talk that Spanish shit around me. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, why we got to go there? Why are we doing this petty? You know, I'm trying to work on my cussing, but why are we doing this petty mess?
The fans love it.
But for me, it's like I really want to talk about. For me, I see like there's so many different rabbit holes we can go down, and I say that because number one, so we always knew Uncle Gary had some pretty low light skin, low churn. You know what I'm saying? But we never knew them. I've never really interacted with you guys. When we would visit, we wouldn't come to Gary's house, but I remember being a little girl and Gary being like one of the sweetest cousins. Because he's my first cousin. He's my dad's nephew. That's my dad's nephew. So, you know, when we were little, we had a lot of interaction with him, but his family per se, once he moved to Jersey, it was like, we really didn't have a lot of interaction. So I feel like, one, for our family, we need to set up some type of meet and greet for a holiday or something, because we're getting older and God forbid one of our kids start dating one of y'all kids or something like that. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, we need to know who our family is. And that's why I'm so happy about this podcast, because it allows us to kind of have these conversations and to kind of have like a reunion of some sort with family that we don't normally intersect with. As far as the cultures, I really don't know anything about the Spanish culture or Dominicans or the Puerto Rican. I know you ain't supposed to call it Puerto Rican or Dominican and Mexican. Like, I know that part, but I really don't know anything about different cultures because I grew up predominantly in the South. Like, I'm definitely a Southern belle. So for me, I can't really lend a lot of conversation or ideologies towards this conversation when it comes to that aspect. But as far as the letter is concerned, I just feel like we're past that. We are way past the name calling and not understanding that we should work together as a unit, or be one as family. Like, how could you say, oh, because you Spanish, I don't want you talking Spanish around me? That's just kind of weird to me. So outside of that, I really just feel like we as a family, we need to come together. We need Spanish as like the number 2 language, about to be the number 1 language. So at the end of the day, we need to know who our Spanish family and friends is, you know, because we could meet one day longer in life, or our kids could meet. And I just think if we know each other and we can embrace each other even more, we can understand each other even more. And the reason why the writer is writing in is because maybe that person never embraced the other side of the family. Like, I don't understand how you could not want to know what you don't know, you know? So that's all I got for the cousin that wrote in.
But I agree with you, Tawana. You have to also, what you said was very important. The fact that this person, the fact that you said you was raised in the South, there isn't much diversity. So therefore, that's the primary reason why the ignorance is there, the lack of knowledge, you know? So when you don't know, you just say these things. And the unfortunate thing is, it's us a lot of times who are prejudiced against us, which doesn't make any sense, because when you do your research, a lot of these other cultures, the person is from Honduras, African roots, African descent. So it's the same thing. They just know Spanish. That's it. So it's really sad. It really is sad. And one thing I want to bring up with my mom, I just like this about her, because of course Patois isn't a language, it's a dialect. But she made sure she did not speak Patois because she did not want, because when she was going to school, she got, ridiculed, people talked about her, whatever. So she made sure that she was on her English language because she did not want us to have the accent. She didn't want us to speak like that. And for me, I'm like, no, I want to speak like that. Why not? Why not? But she made sure that she was on it and stressed herself about it. And I'm just like, it just shows the conditioning when you're growing up, people around you condemning you and telling you that who you are isn't as important as who they are, which is really unfortunate. And I must say, my dad, he does a very good job with embracing the Jamaican culture. He really does.
Martine, I want to kind of add on to what you just said. When I first went to school, I didn't even know I had no accent. I didn't know Geechee. Geechee is also like a dialect.
Yes.
Like you said, you don't understand it either.
It's very similar, but it's similar to Patois.
Yeah.
Because if you hear
it's similar
Patois,
to Patois, and
Geechee
it's also similar to Pig Latin.
Yes.
And some of the Creole and stuff like that. Like some of the Creoles, they talk like us too. But the thing about it is, I didn't even know I had an accent until somebody was like, what you say? I was like, and it kept happening. They didn't understand what I was saying. So Savannah is like, I moved to Savannah from Charleston, and Savannah is like a brother-sister city to Charleston. Very, very similar dialects and stuff like that. But when I went to the university, there are people from all over, from North, Atlanta, and, the South of California. Just different people from all over the place came to, Savannah State, because it's an HBCU. So going to school and meeting all these different people, and I'm just talking like I'm talking regular. They used to be like, what did you just say? And I felt like, what? They was like, you talking too fast. And then I had this really good guy friend, John Blackshear. He pulled me to the side. He said, people don't understand shit you say. So I had to learn, like, I wish I knew, you know what I'm saying, that I had to learn that at 18 years old. I had to learn, like, okay, Tawana, you got to slow it down, and you got to kind of modernize it in order for people to understand you. So I can see why your mom was like, because with some Jamaicans, when they start talking real fast, I don't understand what they're saying either.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we got family members, Yeah.
So I can see people kind of being, I was never ashamed. I didn't start, and what's crazy is I didn't start becoming ashamed of it until like I was 25. And I'm like, if my friends came to visit me or something like that, and they would talk it, I heard it then. And I'd be like, y'all gotta slow down. They ain't gonna understand what y'all saying. You gotta talk a little proper around these folks because they don't understand you. Yeah. So go ahead, Julie. I see you want to.
Just like how you saying though, like it kind of like put off a light bulb for me too. Like I think it's very interesting as to the more education that we get, which is obviously always prefaced by whiteness, right? The educational system is rooted in whiteness. The more education we get, the more willing we are to like be like, oh no, y'all better get that black shit up out of here. You know what I'm saying? Like we got to be this style and this way, and it's mind blowing. It's unfortunate. Yeah.
That's what they tell you. In order to have certain roles, my mom is an APRN, so in order to be in a certain field and have a certain role, you cannot speak this way. You have to speak a certain way. So you think unconsciously, you condition yourself to look, I gotta fit the role because I need the job and this, that, and the third, and you're losing yourself in that process. You know what I'm saying? I commend and I'm happy that the Hispanic culture fought for their language being a part of the communities and things, this and that, because you lose yourself. You do. Yeah. And it's like, that's why? Why do you lose yourself?
That's true, Martine. And you also find yourself, because even though at 25, I felt that way, right now, when you meet people that embrace who you really are, they love it. They like, can you talk that Geechee stuff for me? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So now
yeah.
it's like, oh my God, it sounds like you from Jamaica. They think we're from
You
the
exotic.
island,
It does.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
I,
So,
to be honest, I can't understand it though.
I know, girl.
You know, I struggle at work. Like, what? What you saying?
You gonna get
But
it.
the
You gonna
crazy
get it.
part is, they think the Northerners have an accent. They like, oh, you speaking that New York stuff. What?
Yeah, y'all do.
Even
Y'all
my
got
wife
that.
says that now.
Who is
My
going
wife
to
says
call?
that now.
I'm going to actually call her and tell her not to come anymore because I'm not. That's y'all accent. That's how y'all
almost don't sound like that. That sound like some Long Island soprano woman.
Look, Martine, you sound like that right now to me.
You crazy? No, negative.
You do.
Like somebody.
Kendrick,
You do. Yeah, that's true. And you know what the funny thing is? So to put my 2 cents in on the topic, first off, we always talk about the individual first. So as long as your parents have instilled both sides of who you are, and you have to rock with that. Whatever anyone else says is just what they say. Just like Tawana, I didn't know I had an accent until I joined the Air Force. And I had like instructors in tech school. He was like, "You from Jamaica or New Orleans or something like that?" And just like saying like the word paper, he used to tease me every day. He's like, "Say paper again." It's like paper. It's like, hey, paper. They used to like just kind of get on me, but the women liked it, so I was cool with it. So I always got a little extra geechee when it came down to certain conversations. But as far as now where I live now, I basically live in Mexico. But I'm in Texas, but most of the culture is they speak Spanish. And I have friends here who've been here for like years and years, and they haven't tried to speak Spanish, but I'm actually learning Spanish. Number one, I want to always be aware of your surroundings. So I don't want anybody to be able to say anything around me that I don't have some idea of what they're saying. And also, I think, again, we said earlier, that's like the number 2 language. And if you're into business and things of that nature, why limit yourself to just what you know? You know, you're cutting off so many different opportunities to learn different cultures, connect with different people on different levels, because at the end of the day, you're not going to get the best out of other cultures unless you try to take a step forward in learning more about their culture.
And to that point, Kendrick, I want to also like kind of highlight the fact that I remember growing up, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, because sometimes I'm old, you know what I'm saying? But I remember Uncle Gary, Jenny Lynn, and Randall's dad, like having like Spanish tapes, and he was like teaching himself things here and there along the way, right? And I think that would be something that would be really beneficial to our writer. Like maybe try to share some of the culture with the family on a one-on-one basis. Like if they have questions about certain words or whatever, teach them a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like get them as interested as they possibly can be. And with that, I want to kind of bring and pose the question to both you, Randall, and Jenny. I know that we spoke with Martine about how language was in the household there, but do you guys have a perspective about how the Spanish language was in your household growing up, and how your relationship with the language is now even?
First off, my dad held his own with his Spanish. I don't know who taught him, but everything that I remember going on when I was little, my dad used to sit there at my aunt's house and be in the mix, in the conversations, talking Spanish. And I'm like, yo, how did you learn this? Who did you learn this from? Because
wow.
As far as I was 5 or 6 when I first started hearing him talk, or remember like him holding his own. I'm like, you haven't known. You act like you've lived in DR for a certain amount of time. So I think he held his own with his Spanish, and that's an amazing feat, and I think he did it pretty well. He definitely speaks Spanish better than myself and obviously my brother. And I think growing up, though, I think we lost based on the Spanish language. My sister knows way more than me and my brother. I know more than my brother, and I understand a lot. But we definitely lost based on just the language. My mother didn't really talk Spanish. There's no one for her to talk Spanish to. She couldn't speak to us because we didn't really know it, and there was no point for her to talk to my dad in Spanish. So it kind of got bad to where I know I didn't have enough Spanish. And I have two boys of my own. And when I found out that, I was going to be in a relationship with Aiden, and then when I was having Damien, I told my mother, I said, listen, I only want you to speak Spanish to my kids because I lost based on it. And I don't want it to end with me. Because if it ends with me, I don't give them a chance to just have it naturally. And they're young to the point where they could just absorb it all. So I know for a fact that I could have done better keeping up with Spanish on my own and, trying to learn more and interact. I could have just asked my mother to speak to us in Spanish more, but we just never did. Unless she got mad at us, she'd curse and throwing chancletas at us and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's when it comes out.
Oh yeah. Don't piss the Spanish lady off. She'll get the throne like a baseball player.
Get your ass in here.
Yeah. and Junie, because you used to be at a house and you piss her off and she gets on
Junie, ven pa acá.
Right. And I definitely need to highlight my Aunt Jenny. Like, she honestly, just like how y'all was saying earlier in the conversation, she fit right in with the family. She wasn't one of these people that sat in the background and was like, oh, I'm just here just because. Nah, she got up. She helped with Grams. She, was full of life. She was vibrant. She was her own personality. She held her own in our family unit. And like, that's my girl. That's my mom's girl to this day. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, I mean, love you, Aunt Jenny. I hope if you listen to this that you get a smile on your face. Miss you, all of that.
she'll probably be like, "Oh, yeah." So
Junito.
Yeah. So when my dad first met my mom, like my mom didn't know a lick of English because she was in DR. So my dad met my mom through a picture, and he and my mom's cousin worked with my dad in Jersey. So that's how he kind of met my mom. And then he just took a flight out to DR and was like, yo, what's up? And spent some time with her. And basically, like, I found some old letters that they used to write, and my dad would write to my mom in Spanish and throw a little bit of English in there just to like help her learn English as well so they could communicate. And my dad, he had like this antique record player that played CDs, tapes, I think records at one point. And I found all that of Spanish 101 in there, and I was gonna play them for us so we could start learning it. But I was born in Dominican Republic, so my first language was Spanish, but I didn't move to the United States till I was 3. So basically I've been here since I was 3, and I kind of did lose my Spanish growing up. And then my parents will always send us to DR for the summers as well as Carolina. And I don't know, I guess since Spanish was my first language, I didn't lose it as much as my brothers didn't, because they were kind of born in the United States basically, and they just grew up learning English and being taught English. And yeah, like Randall said, my mom didn't really speak Spanish around us just because she was trying to communicate with my dad and us. Like, she came to the United States and this was just her. Like, there was no family around. She barely knew English, so she kept just speaking English around us. But I will say that, growing up, I did kind of resent my dad for not bringing us down to Carolina as much, just because that did hinder us. Well, Randall's a little closer to everybody down there than compared to me and Chalito, even though we did almost spend the equal amount of time down there. But every time I went down there, like, I just felt so awkward just because we weren't as close as compared to my Spanish side of the family. And then the language barrier down there too. Like, I think it was one time LJ came to pick us up and he was talking to me and I was like, what are you talking about? Like, you need to slow down. Like, I did not understand a word he was saying at all. Like, and he literally was like breaking down each word for me to understand. And I don't know, because it was just 4:00 in the morning. I was just like, but yeah, even like, or when Simone talked to me, I'm just like, I don't understand anything y'all saying to me, just because like the dialect was heavier down there than it is up north. But when I go down there, like a southern accent comes at me for some reason when I talk. And then when Larnell, our other cousin, he always said like, yeah, I have like a northern New York accent, but I'm like, I don't hear it at all. Or even more, my Spanish accent comes out, like I don't hear it at all when they tell me, but they say I do. Even my husband tells me that. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
It's definitely there.
My wife says the same thing. She says she'll tell me, Tracy, my wife, she'll tell me the same thing. She'll say, oh, I have a New York, New Jersey accent or a North accent. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. You're only in Maryland. You're not even that South for you to be saying I have a Northern accent.
But wait, hold on. Maryland got their own vernacular that is.
She's from Baltimore too, so you.
Not Baltimore.
My wife,
especially Baltimore. Baltimore.
I don't want to talk about language. Oh man.
They pull a little bit from the north and a little bit of the south and mix it together, and that's what you got.
Together.
They all mix up.
Yeah.
I'm here by myself. All the family functions. It's just me and all their accents. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's heavy. That's heavy.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So like Randall said, I do know more Spanish than my other brothers, and I am trying to still keep that alive, basically. Like even with Damien and Aiden, I talk to them in Spanish all the time. I play Spanish music all the time. When Damien used to come and visit, I'll put the Spanish baby channels only, just so he knows. And I always tell Randall, like, yo, just start playing stuff in Spanish. Like even when me and my husband have our own kids and stuff, like it's just gonna be a Spanish household, just because I want them to know it naturally instead of knowing it and then losing it and then trying to get it back. Like when I go to DR, everybody know I'm American.
Yeah.
All the time. As soon as I open my mouth, they're like, yeah, you're not from here.
Yeah. And I think that's a beautiful point, Jenny Lynn. I think it's important to make sure that the things that are present in your culture that are most likely to be lost outside of your own household, I think it's really great to make sure that you're focusing in on those things inside the household, because without a doubt, like whenever y'all have kids one day, they're going to go to school and they're going to speak English. You know what I'm saying? They're going to have to. So really the burden of making sure you perpetuate that element of your personal culture is on you. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's really dope, Randall, how you even brought into the conversation making sure that your mom speaks to your kids in Spanish. That's going to help them leaps and bounds. And even past just like being able to perpetuate a culture, there are so many jobs and roles in the United States of America that if you are bilingual, it'll automatically tack on like $20K to your salary. You know what I'm saying? Without even having to worry about it. And if you have this thing that you came up since from birth that is just ingrained in you, it's always setting you up for generational wealth and prosperity and all of those things.
And Spanish is definitely a coveted language, because this lady that I work with at Nordstrom, she was so freaking cute. And I was like, you're going to have to teach me Spanish. And she was like, let me tell you what I did. She said she used to watch the soap operas in English. She said, and that's how she learned it. She said she just turned on the English channel. She said, that's how I learned it. And of course, it was a little broken. I used to be like, can't use that right there. That's supposed to be not right there, sis. But she told me, she was like, I'm telling you, if you just watch the Spanish channels, see how they react, practice it. She said, that's how I learned. And she's an older lady. So I think it definitely will behoove us to kind of learn the language, because the Spanish culture, the Hispanic culture, like you guys are starting to outnumber some of these other cultures. If y'all don't know it, like them Mexicans, y'all know, sorry, I know y'all ain't Mexicans, but them Mexicans, they can have 8 or 9 or 10 children. Like they have a lot of kids. So you know what I'm saying? Those kids are gonna grow up one day and be adults. And they say, like you said, Kendrick, living in El Paso, living near New Mexico, it's like that's the dominant culture. My friend, she lives in San Diego, but she said a lot of people in Southern California are Hispanic. You know what I'm saying? And I just feel like one day we're gonna probably have to need to know that language, So I'm gonna start.
But there is a difference in the Spanish language too, because if you hear someone from Mexico speak, you hear someone who's Puerto Rican speak, and you hear someone who's Dominican, you even hear someone from Honduras speak, it is completely
all different.
It's so different. And with Honduras, they also speak Garifuna. So that's another language that they speak. So it's like, it's such a big difference in the Hispanic culture as a whole, because they speak Spanish. To me, the Mexicans are the quick speakers. Like they're fast. Like I don't understand anything. And I grew up in the Bronx. So in the Bronx, all my friends was Puerto Rican. So I knew Spanish. I knew what they was talking about. I understood everything. All my friends was Puerto Rican. So it really is a difference in the language itself. You can hear it. It just sounds different.
This is the slang that I hear, because this girl from Dominican Republic, I tried to get her to teach me too, and she was like, "It's the slang. You're not gonna know the slang." She was like,
"Yeah,
that's
kind of it." Yeah.
I'm like, "Just teach me mucho grande and
mucho grande."
I can call him a puta now.
My thing when I was in the Bronx,
mucho grande.
I needed to know numbers. My biggest thing was I needed to know numbers, and I needed to know how to order my food from the Cuchi Frito. So I need the food, I need all of that. And then everything else with being around them, being around their family and stuff like that, all of that just came. Just you're around it all the time. So you just pick up on it. So.
That's so cool. That is so freaking cool. That's cool to me.
It's something special about immersion culture, and like being in the environment. You pick up things so quickly. Like when I lived over in Korea, I didn't have no choice. You know what I'm saying? I got as soon as I got off that flight, I looked around. I'm like, where all the English at? With my ignorant ass, ain't nothing. You know what I'm saying? I went to a restaurant, and Randall, you spent some time in Korea. You lived in Korea for a little bit because you were in the services, right? And bro, when I tell you the first restaurant I went to sit down in, I just had to point at some shit. Did not even like it. But I'm like, I gotta eat. So I said, I can't be on this for too long. Like, so I had to pick up things and learn a little bit. And I had my students teach me some stuff. I had, I taught them some stuff. And that was able to bridge that divide and really make it an experience that was beneficial to all of us.
Yeah.
So that's how I'm learning right now. Actually, they called it like immersion versus learning. So right now, I only watch, everything I watch in the house now is in Spanish. Everything. Because you learn, I understand, I took like some classes, so I understand the dialect and, tense and things like that nature. But as far as getting the right cadence and all that stuff, so when I'm talking to the people out here in Spanish, I'm always like, habla más despacio. Because they be rolling and they talk. I'll be like, God. They might be like and all the dialects are so different, like you said. So it's like they're like the Geechee people to me
of the
Latins.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they are. It's very fast, very fast.
All of my Spanish-speaking friends actually have mentioned to me that is the best way to pick up the language. Like, watch the videos, listen to the music. And with that, I gotta say, any of y'all watch Sin Senos No Hay Paraíso? Listen, if you don't if you don't get on Netflix, and I'm telling you, it's gangster. People getting kidnapped, people getting breast implants when they don't want to get breast implants. It's wild. Like, and I'm like, oh, whole time gasped. Yes.
Wow.
And drop it in the chat so we can check it out.
Oh yeah. Listen, it's like granted, these telenovelas be having like 45 seasons, and when you look at one season in particular, it's gonna have 65 episodes. But guess what? You truck along, and you're gonna learn some shit.
That's what's up.
And the drama.
That's like the African movies.
Yes.
That's like the African movies.
Oh my God, yes. I'm writing it in the chat now. Hold on. Y'all can find it.
Funny.
Yeah, we gotta check it out. We gotta check it out.
Right there.
I'm pretty sure he did not say the name right.
Oh, I did it. Listen,
I did it.
Something about paradise.
Basically, it translates, because I had to look it up. I'm like, what does this even mean?
Okay.
So basically, it means without tits, there's no paradise. Yeah. So I had to Google it before I said it just to make sure. You know what? Because one of my boys told me, he was like, yo, you got to watch this show. It's on Netflix right now. And it's actually a remake of an older telenovela that was the same thing, but it was like, it's a reboot basically. But listen, the drama, the action. Whoo.
Oof.
Well, Narcos sold me, so you ain't got to, because
Narcos is good.
There's this one show on
That's
HBO. I
good.
forgot the name of it.
Yeah.
That's good.
It's really good.
Really good.
That's what's up. So what are some things that you guys, I mean, you know, with us wrapping up or whatever the case may be, what are some things that you guys would like to see our family do as a group, as a whole, so we can kind of start getting to know each other and hanging out and maybe even doing trips and stuff? Like, we're at that age, you know?
It's funny you bring that up because last time I was down there for Granddad's funeral, you know, we got together like, all right, we need to come together. We've been looking at a cabin somewhere, like in between. I think they were looking at like Tennessee or something like that. But we were trying to plan a reunion, and we have, as we always done every time we come down there, it's like, all right, we need to come together, and then we go back to our homes,
Separate lives, yeah.
and then
fall
it
off.
dissolves.
Epic fail with us, because we tried to do the cabin thing too. Remember, Kendrick, when we tried to do it and we just couldn't.
Yeah.
I don't understand. We need one person that's like super dedicated to making it happen.
I think we had that, because didn't we plan like a northern versus southern trip and that fell apart?
That was the cabin. That was the cabin.
Yeah.
What happened? I started.
Dedicated people. It's just.
Yeah, my divorce started around that time, so I was like, yeah, y'all can do your thing, but yeah, I was about to.
That just
I was
fell
going.
apart.
I was
So
going to do
I
it.
think only the northerners went.
Yeah.
But I was like, what happened?
You know what? And that's true.
We do, because I did not know Randall had a child, have kids.
Me neither.
I didn't know
their
Gianni was
names.
married. So I'm just saying, these are things that we do not know. Y'all probably don't even know who my son is. So it's just all of these things that it's like, it's sad. If we had a family reunion, we need a block, because it's a million of us anyway.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So, but we need something, because it's really sad. And like I said, my son, he goes around everybody and he's like, who's that? Who's that?
Yeah.
Who's that? And I just feel bad, like that.
And you guys
That's how Caden is, actually.
Yeah, who's
It's
that?
funny.
And we are really like close cousins. It's not like y'all are 6th or 7th cousins. Like, my daddy, your dad is my dad's nephew. So that makes y'all my second cousin. You know what I'm saying? It's same thing with Martine. Like, we're too close. Like, our family lineage is too close for us not to know each other. And the fact that we're so multicultural, that brings even more like, okay, we really need to get together.
This is just a few of us, because we have plenty of other cousins. Because, I mean, the Michael side alone, you have my grandmother's great-grand daughter. She has Dominican, and, you know, her mom is Puerto Rican. Like, I mean, we're all mixed up. Kim has West Indian kids. So it's just like, it's not just us. It's not just us. So, I mean, it's a lot of things that we don't know. It's because we don't come together. We don't come together.
Honestly, I feel like because of this podcast and because of this conversation, I feel like there's something that's rising up in me that's like definitely wanting to spearhead this type of thing, because I have such fond memories of growing up. Like, I grew up with so much responsibilities that honestly, like, being around family was the times that felt fun. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I didn't have to be the adult in the situation. You know what I'm saying? I could literally just kick it with my cousins, or whether they were older than me or younger than me or whatever. And that was such a time frame that I look back on fondly, and it you know, almost like troubles me that my kid might not have access to that same type of, you know, memory. You know what I'm saying? So I know that if anything that I can do, I'm going to make sure that we can do. And then also with a lot of these conversations that are happening, especially today's conversation around multiculturalism, I want to make sure that all of those elements are included. Like, I went to Thanksgiving with my wife, and you know what I have to offer now that I'm an adult and realize that Geechee culture is in itself a culture, right? I made red rice and brought it to the family. I ain't tell nobody I was doing it, but I just popped up and like had a pan of red rice. Listen, the pan was gone. They was like, "Oh, whoa, this is crazy!" Like blah blah blah.
That damn red rice now.
Listen, because I mean,
we gotta judge
So
it.
I made it for my
How about you
birthday
send me the
family.
recipe?
wait, say that again, Jenny.
I said I made all version of red rice and sausage from my husband's side of the family, and they killed it. But it did not taste. It didn't taste like anything like Aunt Maggie, because like I need that recipe from Aunt Maggie. I know. But
me too.
I tried my best to do it like her, but they still killed it. But yeah.
Yeah.
I maybe I could teach you a little something. So.
Oh Lord.
Oh, you can get the recipe too from Pamela. Junie swear by his red rice. We already said we gonna do a
red rice king out here. We gonna see. We gonna see.
A red rice
Red rice, and they eat it up every damn chance we get on their podcast. I'm just playing with you.
I love it.
You need to be the judge of that.
Listen, cause I know if I bring it around, like I know the family I grew up in. I know if I bring it around y'all and it ain't right, I'm gonna get embarrassed. And guess what? I'm cool under the collar, baby.
Randall made mac and cheese one Thanksgiving, and it was okay. But yeah, I told him what it was. like, yeah, you need some more salt.
I got better, and I got better, and every year I make Thanksgiving mac and cheese, and it gets destroyed. So shout out to Grandma's recipe.
That's what's up.
Nigga, hold on. Nigga, please. Shout out to Junie for passing down Grandma's recipe to your black ass.
Yeah, but it's still a hard recipe. It's gonna get yours. It's still a hard recipe.
Daddy taught us how
Why he put him on blast?
I know that's right. He said Daddy taught us how to do it. I know.
Daddy taught us that.
First and foremost,
Daddy
learn
taught
from
my
him
mom,
anyway.
My mom taught me, then I taught Randall.
That's how it goes.
So yeah, we need to go ahead, and since Junie's saying it's rising something up in him to commission.
Yeah, y'all.
I mean, I just think it needs to be fun. Like it needs to be something whereas in people can't make an excuse, well, I can't come because of this. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I would love for everybody to be there, even if it's just the first, even if we call it like a meet and greet where we do cook-offs and we be in a big house. I don't think it should, or a place where we could kind of really congregate and do games and you know what I'm saying? Just get familiar with each other. I would love it. Me and my boys would show up. I have two sons, y'all, if y'all don't know it. One 16, one 13. So, you know, I feel like they need to meet y'all and they need to meet Jayceon, and Jayceon needs to know that he has two big cousins in Atlanta that he could come and hang out with, you know?
Exactly.
So Caden and Chad, or they text here and there or whatever the case may be, but they need to get back, you know, acclimated with each other and familiar with each other as cousins. So
how old are your boys, Randall? How old are your boys?
I have a 6, soon to be 7-year-old, and my 1-year-old is about to be 2. So I have.
Look, Jayceon age. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Aiden, so we went down there for Granddad's funeral. Aiden was having a ball. He was playing with Paris.
Baby
He was playing with he was playing with Pat, and they was having a ball together. Aiden didn't want to leave. He was crying when we had to leave because he was like,
once they see that open forum, that dirt and
dirt
lane,
oh yeah,
it's a
he was
wrap.
crying because we was in Uncle Anthony's house. He's like, I don't want to leave the big house.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm like, man, you ain't even see our Kerry house yet.
Listen,
boy, get lost. But no, I would love to. And my wife, her family, she has family in South Carolina too. And my wife is very big on her family and her culture and her genetics. I mean, to say she's very big in it is an understatement. She's literally in college for genetics.
That's good.
So she's been diving into her history, and she found a lot of her family down in South Carolina. So she's been planning a trip or trying to get us to coordinate a trip down there, to say the least. So, and I'm always trying to go down there. It's hard to go down there, but we need to set something up, like they're saying. Like I think having a big open like house where we all get together, having games and stuff. Where we basically get. Like, I mean, because it's sad to say, but we're gonna need like an icebreaker for our family.
Yeah,
definitely.
I mean,
and I feel like we can do that. We're old enough to do that.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah,
definitely.
Listen.
And kids, please, as soon as they get together and you be like, this
Oh
is
yeah,
this
they're gonna click off the top. Right.
It's so easy. Yeah, they're gonna be running around having fun, talking to each other. It's gonna be us, the ones that need to kind of.
We're gonna be yes.
Yeah. So. Kids are easy. They're gonna make friends. They know how to get in there. They're gonna find somebody that they connect with. But as far as us, I just feel like we need to do that. And Junie, I'll help you as much as I can.
Listen, little do y'all know, I'm about to volunteer the Hey Cousins podcast to be the host of whatever thing that we about to do, y'all. We about to do this thing.
But
and
I agree with
it makes sense. It makes sense.
You know, I can get the Northerners here.
Yeah.
So now that I'm here, they're coming because we always.
Yes.
Around each other. So I can get the Northerners. That's not a problem. It's the Southerners. I don't really know like that. So I can't really be calling people out the blue. Hey, girl, you remember me from...
Who's this?
You know Daryl's daughter? Daryl. The oldest.
I got you on that. Me and Kendra got you on that one.
Yeah.
Just say the word and say the place, because we're gonna need a lot of room. It's a lot of us.
We're gonna need a ton of room. There's so many of us.
With the kids
it has to be like a summer thing, like in Gatlinburg. Gatlinburg is very inexpensive.
Nice.
They have those huge cabins, and they have everything in there. They have the pools, they have the jacuzzi tub. We can cook. We can go out if we want to. We want to plan like a dinner or something. I just think it needs to be real grown and cool, and
Well, it can't be too grown. We coming with kids, girl. Where we going?
So many kids.
Your
kids babysitting. Who babysitting?
Some kid is gonna fall up, end up being a babysitter.
Why? So they can learn how to scam?
You gotta learn somewhere.
Look, we got back. They got scamming 101.
Oh my God, y'all. My kid, listen, Jenny Lynn and Randall, my kid was scamming, and I told Junie that. Junie said he ain't gonna let him live it down.
I ain't letting it go.
Don't let him live it down, y'all. Don't. He needs to be every time.
He gonna be a heart surgeon. All because of this. We're gonna apply that pressure on him. Ain't no more scamming.
I know
that's right.
I got no money to take nobody out no jail. No, I don't have money.
Right.
But anyway, y'all, is there any Junie, I'm gonna let you go ahead and wrap it up.
Yeah, so again, Randall, Jenny Lane, we thank you guys so much for coming on today. Your perspective has been a huge add to this episode. And thank you, Martine, for being able to provide yet another perspective that is in the same conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know that the rest of us on the call, we were just here to learn from y'all. And I hope that you guys, understand how big your experiences are to not only us on this call, but to everyone listening. And so, we encourage you guys to continue writing in your listener letters. It is heycousin, HEYYYY, cousin @gmail.com. And whatever you want, come on. We might got some advice for you. And until next week, we love y'all. And on the count of 3, y'all, what we do is we say, hey, cousin. Okay? So we're going to do this. And we're going to try to get it right.
All right.
1, 2, 3. Hey, cousin. That's as good as it's going to get. All right.
Yeah.
See y'all.
Thank you, Lord.